Hello. Welcome to the Game Audio Hour, episode 153. This is a weekly podcast where we discuss all things game audio, from creative ideas to the latest techniques, project experiences to audio secrets. Here is where you'll find in-depth coverage and opinions related to game audio, as well as Kyle with that fancy mic and that board. What's going on over there?
It's craziness. It's craziness. Looks like
Wow.
everything's working at this end. Yes, I'm back in my studio, thank God. The board is here. An old ass tape deck. Some Pac-Men in the
Yeah.
back.
Windows 95. Where is it at?
That's in the other side. That's in the live room in the little like air
Oh, we
conditioning.
don't have to
days.
hear the Windows 95 machine anymore.
No,
No more.
and that's why I moved in here, because I thought, you know what, if we're gonna have this thing on anyway, I might as well patch through it. So you're hearing the beautiful API pre's that come with this board. And hold on. And get
Oh,
Fiddle
man.
for free.
Ooh, nice.
I'm not charging for that.
I like it.
But
I like
I
it.
am hearing some different stuff though. Are you guys hearing like a hiss coming from my end? Because also my speakers started giving me a little hiss.
It doesn't sound too bad on my end. I think it's okay.
All right, well, let's move on. I think it's just part of the wiring that I've got. I had to build all the wires for this board because API created the mic pre's and the EQs. Well, it's Saul Walker. I'll give you a quick history. You guys know who Saul Walker is?
But wait a minute, what? Tell me,
You know who
tell me.
Saul Walker is? He's the guy who started API.
Ah,
And he had like a group of people that he started that company with. Eventually API got bought out and they started another company called Sound Workshop. And Otari licensed or commissioned Saul Walker and those 3 or 4 people to make the mic pre's and the EQs for the Concept Elite, which is what you're seeing here. So you're getting all the API technology at half the price, basically. But what's interesting is that the mic pre's, everything runs on DB25s on this board, and the mic pre DB25s are pinned like the Tascam or American or whatever you want to say pinout, where they've got a ground basically if you look at the back of a DB25, it's a bunch of triangles all squashed up to each other. And the ground will shift from the top row to the bottom row to the top row to the bottom row as you progress through the triangles. Well, in Japan, they don't do it that way. The entire top row is the ground, and the bottom row is hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, which actually makes more sense. But getting those cables is ridiculous. So I've had to make them. And so the mic pre cables, I can just buy off the shelf, but anything that's part of the bus system or part of the patch bay, I've had to make. And so when I hear like a little buzz on my speaker, I just know it's a cable I didn't solder quite right.
oh man.
Gonna have to get in there, I think. But it's weird. It's kind of like it grew and then it stabilized. Who knows what that is?
That
Anyway,
is actually really funny. I'm really surprised they don't just have that universal ground throughout all the units.
yeah.
It does make a lot of sense to do that way, but wow.
Yeah, so that's why some of the delay of me being in here is that I'm out in the workshop soldering cables and crimping. I've tried crimping, I've tried soldering. I'm like half solder, half crimp. I can't figure out. I'm putting male XLR ends on the end of cables that are supposed to be female XLR ends, and I have to desolder and resolder.
Wait,
This is not something
isn't that fun?
No. I've had to drill holes in my wall. Hold on. Let's see if you can see it.
I don't know about you guys. I think it sounds fun, honestly.
You see the holes down there?
I'm seeing some holes. Yes, I do see them.
Oh man, hold on. That mic is locked up.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, so those are cables all running back into the board. There's the patch bay. And it's been quite an adventure.
When will we get the official tour?
Well, I say the barbecue, man.
Yeah!
I say the yeah, barbecue. If I make really bad food and everybody goes, good, that's kind of fitting, right? Since it's the barbecue.
The barbecue.
Barbecue. Some like old
Man.
chicken.
Chase, are you going to be at that barbecue?
I think I lost.
Oh no! Well, what happened? Chase, are you there?
Chase, just get out of the show.
Oh no.
Oh,
I'm
he's
there.
back.
Yeah,
Chase, you going to be
I'm
at the
here.
barbecue?
Yes, I will be there. You know
Vince, are
this.
you going to be at the barbecue?
I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna try my darndest.
You're moving. What are you doing, Vince?
Oh my God, I gotta move. There's space. I need to grow. I need to unfurl my wings, so to say.
Are you allowed to say the town to which you're moving?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm moving from LA County to Orange County. I'm
Gotcha.
going across to the wonderful town of Seal Beach.
The
So,
reason I wanted you to say that is because that's where that couch came from.
oh, that
Right
really?
there. That couch came from a lawyer's office in Seal Beach.
Oh,
Have I ever told
okay.
the story on air of why I bought that couch?
No, no. Tell
So
me about it. What's up?
that's an old couch. It's not like turn of the century old. I think it's like it's handmade, but it looks like they cheaped some of the side. Like they didn't do the backside. And I imagine in like the turn of the century, they would have done that wood furling on both sides. So right there, you see where my thumb is. It's like flat
Mm.
on the backside. So
Oh,
I
I
don't know.
see.
Anyway, but it was a super old couch that this guy had at this. He had it on eBay, and I was like, oh my god, that would be perfect for the place because I'm trying to do this kind of red and gold New Orleans kind of feel to the studio. And he said, I contacted the guy on eBay and I said, I'm interested in your couch. And he goes, oh, great. And I said, it's pretty low price. Is there a lot of damage? And he goes, well, it's just really uncomfortable to sit in. And I said, well, how long could you sit in it comfortably before you've got to get up and go someplace? And he says, like an hour tops. And I said, I'll take it. And he goes, why do you want a chair that you can only sit in for an hour? I said, because it's a producer couch. And I don't want a goddamn producer in here longer than an hour.
Very
I
nice,
think
very nice.
I thought that was a brilliant thing to do.
That's called good design there.
I think it's bad. It's a tough crowd out here. Anybody gonna laugh at my joke? Whatever. That's a true story. That's not even a joke.
Awesome, awesome.
Hey, chatties. How is everybody? Matt's
Oh,
out there. What's up,
Matt's
Matt?
out there. Lots of people in the chat. We got Bob to you, Flop, and Adriano. Ooh,
Matt says solid showbiz anecdote. Thanks, buddy.
man. Ooh.
By the
Oh
way, there have
yeah.
been producers in on that couch, and they were uncomfortable. But then I reupholstered it, so now it's comfortable again. I'm getting brave, letting people hear
Ooh.
my work. So enough about this new setup, which I hope to be doing again next week. Chase, how are you? Vince is moving. I've moved and soldered.
Yep.
What are you doing?
Helping my girlfriend move.
Oh man, everyone's moving.
I just had to tie it in.
Oh my
Yeah, I'm
goodness.
not moving. I just came back from my uncle's wedding up in Livermore, California. A little bit of a wine country over the weekend, so that's very
That's
nice.
funny.
Surviving the maelstrom as it is, preparing for a little mini concert in November.
Nice. Is it public?
It is public.
And you're the sole performer?
I am I am not the sole performer. It is most of my work being performed. Yes.
Ooh. Is there more to tell us, or should we wait?
We shall wait with
Okay.
bated breath until
All
I
right.
make the official announcement. But
And
those are
then, and
that's the lead way.
what'd you say?
I said, but that is the lead way.
Oh, nice, nice. Well, congrats, and I know it's hard work coming. So, break a leg then. Congrats now.
Thank you.
I'll see you at the show because I will go.
Yes. Yay.
We will have a game audio hour get together in the front row where we'll heckle the musicians.
Ooh.
I
I
love
love
it.
joining
Please
the
do
peanut
because it's going to be
gallery.
streamed. It's going to be streamed.
Well, guys, two notes I think are important to bring up. It was we don't cover politics or anything on the show, but a really bad mass massacre happened in Las Vegas last night. Horrible. And we all have some friends who are either in Vegas or in particular at that concert. And I'm grateful to say that a couple of them have checked in on Facebook and said they're okay, which is good to hear. But people are going to need help. Whether it's also Puerto Rico as well. There's so much going on. Please give time or money or whatever you can do to help people. I think it's really important that we do the best that we can to kind of say, you know, we're with you and we're going to help you out as best we can. I'll post in the show notes a couple of places that are doing that you can send contributions to that'll get to the people to help them. I'll do that as soon as the show's over. But anyway, our hearts go out to all those people, and please give of your time or of your funds if you can to help people out. Don't want to go without saying that. So, number 2, Isotope hosts this show. They're an amazing company. Came out with Spire, which is really quite rad. They got a cool video of an engineer who, 4-time Grammy award-winning engineers, worked with Ween, and he even says, he goes, I work with all the W artists. I can't remember who the other ones were right now. Oh, Wilco. And it's really cool what he does with it, because a lot of engineers will, you know, in today's world, as you're seeing right here, a lot of people who engineer are engineering out of their home studios. And the minute you do that, you're starting to get more involved in the project than just pushing buttons and stuff. You know, not saying you play a role as a producer at all, but people look all over for contributions to the sound, and we're working at a more like friend level at this point when it comes to recording. And so this guy is just that. He'll sometimes contribute guitar and do keyboard ideas and stuff. And so he was saying how cool the Spire was, because when he has an idea, he can just hit a button and start playing. And I noticed in the video, he actually went a step further and started, you know, producing the guitar sound that he was going to contribute, which says a lot about Spire. And if you can take it into Spire and then into your desk, it might be, you know, really, really cool tool for that. So well done, Isotope, for Spire. That's really cool. They're also coming out with a new software, that O8N2, which we were going to do a giveaway this week, but you know, we'd mentioned last week that maybe we can give that away. We don't know, to be honest. Full transparency. So I contacted them, but since it hasn't been released, I haven't heard back, and rightfully so. You know, I'm not going to don't spill the beans for anybody when you're a company like that. And so we're going to kind of postpone the giveaway this week until next week to see if A, it comes out, if B, we're allowed to give a copy away, and if not, then we're going to move on to another awesome product they have and do the giveaway for that. Is that cool with you guys?
Absolutely. That's great.
All right, on with the show. What do you want to talk about?
Oh man,
I've got like 100 things, but none of them are on Chase's list, and Chase keeps a very important list so that we don't miss topics, so we don't skip over a topic 3 or 4 weeks that somebody wants to talk about. So Chase, what do you think?
So I've been on the list for topics that are kind of related to you. We can discuss the Ravens 3.3 Slate screen monitors.
Oh yeah. Well, does anybody else have Slate, the monitors?
No,
I don't.
but it would be good to know about workflow, since I actually worked with you recently and saw all those things were working together.
Oh man. Well, I don't want to make this the Kyle show, so I'll just spend a couple minutes on the Slate monitors. Love them. I have 2 of them side by side. I'm sadly paring down to one of them, not at the fault of Slate whatsoever, but because I need to put a Pro Tools rig in here beside the board instead of in another room. I don't have the space to spread 2 of them out without blocking a door, like that door or the other door that's over here. So I'm going down to 1, which has forced me into a workflow of flipping between mix page and edit page in Pro Tools. And, you know, they make that pretty easy in Pro Tools, but it's just a keyboard shortcut. Yeah, I love them, especially when you get a good plugin that's got good knobs, it's beefy, you can get your finger on there and slide it around, you can control all kinds of things. And I love using these. Whoops, sorry about that. I love using the Magic Pad or whatever they call this thing. And the Slate is just a giant one of these. I can do all the same commands as on here, but on my screen, and move things around. So as far as like using it, one of the big features, and I know people fear this, is the faders. You don't have like a tactile feedback on this thing. So when you're moving a fader, you're afraid that your finger, you know, initially people would do this, I did it myself, is think, oh my God, what happens when my finger slides off the fader? Because I'm not looking. And what happened is they've created this awesome touch process where you touch a fader, and as long as you don't bring your finger off the screen, you can take it anywhere you want, and that fader will just keep moving, you know. Now, of course, if you go down, it goes down. If you go up, it goes up. But if you go sideways, it'll stay the same. But typically, people don't go perfectly sideways. They'll go up a little bit, and you'll see it changing a little bit, or they'll go down a little bit, and you'll see it changing a little bit. But once you've touched that fader, you're locked in on it. Then when you let go, the fader stays where it is. Now, if you want to do multiple faders, it's the same business. You could put like your thumb on one fader, slide 4 or 5 faders away, put your finger on another one, slide 2 or 3 faders away, put your third finger on another one, slide to a comfortable location in your seat and just start going up and down, and those 3 faders will move. So it's really smart software.
Nice.
Very smart. What else is there? Big.
What DAW does it work in the best?
Do what?
What DAW does it work in the best? Ableton or Pro Tools?
I would say Pro Tools. It works in the best. Logic would probably be equally as good. I have it for Ableton, Cubase, Logic, and Pro Tools, but I spend most of my time in Pro Tools. Ableton, I did 2 things. I can't blame them. I didn't think it was as good an implementation, but I don't know if that's just because I didn't spend enough time investigating how it all works. There are 2 or 3 things you have to get running when you install it. So the touch screen itself runs off of USB. So it's a monitor. You plug it in through HDMI into your computer, but then it doesn't do anything. So you plug the USB cable in, and now the touch capability is there. But you have to install 2 or 3 pieces of software on your machine so that the touch capability works. And that can get a little hairy when I first set it up. But I was in a situation where a couple of guys from Slate came and showed me how to set it up and saw what I was doing and said, "Oh, you've done a couple things wrong here." And I came to find out that they had newer movies on how to set this up, and I was looking at an old set of movies. So you got to make sure you're looking at the newest set of movies. And then it was way easier than it was when I was looking at the old set of movies, and it was set up the way I'd like. And then on top of that, like, I use RX all the time, obviously, and I was able to sit down with one of the guys and create a workflow for RX, so I could do things in RX that I can't normally do. That was pretty amazing. Like, I could select a section of audio with my finger, and then if you take like 2 fingers and slide around on the screen in RX, it just zooms in and zooms out. That's all it does. If you want to move like a section, like say you've got, let me describe it this way. Like, say my fingers here are audio, and I've selected on top of like 2 of them, and I want to move that selection down to a different 2 or back here. I don't want to move the audio. I just want to move the selection window. You know what I'm saying? And then, so you can't do that by default with RX, but with the Slate Ravens, you're able to do it. And so it was really cool. I could select a section, I could slide it down, I could double click, it would zoom out just that section, I could do some work. Double click, it would go back to being the size it was originally. Take that window, slide it down someplace else, double click. It makes really fast
Workflow,
yeah, flow, yeah. It's really cool. I love them. And I had a Tascam USB, well, they called it a US 2400, and it's basically just a bunch of motorized faders and then some knobs, and it all runs off of one USB cable. I loved that thing, and I thought for sure I'm going to miss it. I used it for years.
A lot of people still love that thing. Actually, one of my friends, one of my friends actually still has that Tascam US 2400 and still uses it to this day. I mean, it's
heck yeah. Slate's the only reason mine's not with me, and I didn't get rid of it because it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You can get them for about $500 or $600 on eBay, and I highly recommend anybody who wants motorized faders, and you've got 24 of them. It's $500 or $600. It's old technology. They don't maintain it anymore, but there's a group of people on the internet who do, and so they'll put out updates occasionally. There are some things that you'll miss out on, like it's got a joystick on it, and only Logic would let me use the joystick. I imagine Pro Tools will let you use the joystick as well. It's for surround. But at the time that I was using it, I didn't have Pro Tools HD, so I didn't have surround capabilities on my Pro Tools. But Logic did, and it let me use it there.
And I'm actually looking right now, just seeing what the prices are. It seems like there are people that are trying to sell their US 2400s on Reverb for $700, $800, $900. That's a lot for a decade-old piece of hardware.
Ooh, yeah.
But, if people are out on the internet saying, oh, yeah, you can get this thing working with modern Pro Tools, and, because of all the work that the community has done to just put that information out there, that's really pretty cool. That's really
You're
awesome.
saying you saw a USB 24 or US 24 for 900?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can get them way cheaper than that. 500, 600. I have a search
500,
in
600.
in
Okay.
eBay that just will send me an email anytime somebody posts one new, and I see them probably 3 times, 4 times a year, and they're usually between $500 and $800. But when you look at what they sold for, they're usually between $500 and $600. They used to be $1,000 for sure.
Okay, yeah,
It's a
I
good
am
piece of
seeing
kit.
around 500, 450.
That person on
That's
Reverb is trying to sell mine. I'm trying to get as much money out of it as possible. I'm kidding. That's a
ha.
joke.
Hey, we got a question in the chat. Bob T Flop says, gigs doing size slash channel optimized tracker music must be pretty rare these days, right?
Where's
Yeah.
where's Alex? Let's answer for Alex and answer it completely wrong so he gets crazy when he watches the show. Start by saying, "Who? What's a tracker? Nobody uses those." You're welcome, Alex, and
Man.
all kinds of people,
And also my tracker tutorial out. Thank you.
and
Hopefully
also
here.
Ian Stalker and so many others.
Yeah,
So I'm reading it.
what
Gigs,
places are we size limited right now?
gigs doing size optimization for my
Size,
Apple
memory
Watch.
limited.
You've got to be
Yeah.
size limited on like Apple TV games, right?
Hmm.
Well, let's see. I guess since it's known that I'm working for a company that is currently making a game that has the Apple TV as a platform, no, you're not size limited.
Oh, you're not? That's amazing.
No, not. I mean, not to the point where we're thinking, oh, you need 4 channel music and only
Right,
60
right.
kilobytes or whatnot. But
Actually, now that I think about it, cartridges are coming back, and the release of repros are coming back. And if you don't know what repros are mostly a reprint of labels like really expensive like retro cartridges such as the NES or the Sega Genesis or the Super Nintendo, which were games like Secret of Mana or Earthbound that are like $200, $300. If you can't afford those, they reproduce those so that they're a little bit less expensive. So instead of 300, maybe they're half, so like 150 or even $70. And now what they're doing is, from the emulator community, there was a lot of hacks, I would say, and homebrews of additional games added on. So some people made a game called Pokemon XD, didn't come out back in 6, and now people have made those into cartridges. So those emulator ROMs that you could display on a computer can now be played on an actual cartridge. And some people have made like Game Boy cartridges. So if you want to do tracker music and stuff, and you get on a project that had that hack type of game, and maybe there's someone that's looking to do some reproduction cartridges, you probably could get that and actually test your composition chops with size limiting through there if you can find the projects. Where you would find them, I don't actually have a clue just yet, but if I do, I'll be happy to share. So that's actually something pretty cool. I'm super interested in that, but I don't have the time to involve it right now. But yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
one way you could probably get one of those gigs.
That's awesome. I remember, when I first got into games, the first thing I did was, the first thing I did was art. What an idiot. Who hired me to do art? What a dummy. And then I did level design, mistake number 2 by the game industry. And then I finally did music, and it was for handheld games. And trackers were so, so important. And I remember at the time talking to other people who were doing it, and they were saying no matter what advance happens in the game industry, there will always be something that is in need of a really small footprint for the music and the sound effects. But here we are today, guys. What is that thing? What is...
yeah,
I would have guessed it was the Apple TV. Cartridges, like you're saying, Chase. Who's using cartridges? Like new,
well,
like
The
I mean,
Switch
I
is
guess you
technically
could
using
argue,
cartridges.
yeah, the Switch has
the
cartridges,
Switch.
but it's, I mean, the Switch is just such a different beast. It's
Yeah.
basically a PlayStation 3 sort of level power, and they are selling these cartridges, but I think the expectation is a lot of people are just going to be downloading games to their micro SD card that's on there,
Yeah.
and music for that thing is most likely going to be Opus compressed and streamed directly, and they have hardware decompression for Opus on the Nintendo Switch. So it's yeah, you don't really need tracker music on the Switch.
Hmm.
I mean, even on the 3DS, which is still a live platform for Nintendo, you're not really doing tracker music. The cartridges are so big, 100
Yeah.
meg, 200 megabyte cartridges. Yeah, it's not really a huge issue. Back in the DS days, where you had a processor that actually wasn't even capable of proper floating point math, okay, yeah, you need to work with limitations there. But once you got to the 3DS, yeah, you're just dealing with streams at that point.
Hmm. What about? Hold on with the drum roll. Oh my God, my internet is taking forever. What about the Ataribox? Are they going to use cartridges?
Ooh, that's a good question.
The Ataribox.
Hey,
I
what are you
haven't
laughing
looked
at?
too much at that actually.
I think
What are
they
you
might.
laughing at? I can't wait.
I think they might actually, Kyle, because I think if it's similar to what that Sega Genesis system that came out that wasn't too great, you could put your cartridges in them and still play the games. That might be. I think that when I was reading about that, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think they were going to have a port for that to be playable, and as well as like maybe some other games that they could not fit on there as well, which would be cool because then I can finally play. Freaking, I have to remember the dang thing. Well, it depends what range of Atari games are going to play. Is it going to be the 5200 or the 2600 or? Because then I have Star
5200 was such a
Radius.
great system.
Well,
Yeah,
the 5200 was a coding system, right? I learned some programming on that thing. Wasn't that the
Oh yeah.
5200 that had
got
the,
my.
Well, you could do that on the
blister key
2600 as
keyboard?
well. Yeah.
Can't
And
remember.
well,
They
I mean,
have
the
a
2600, and then you
5200
had the 400, 800 series Atari computers as well. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
looking
I
at the
went from
Atari
the
box
Atari
specs.
ST.
AMD processor, Radeon graphics card.
Yeah,
I mean, this
dude,
is
it's going
this
to
is
beat
just
an
a
Xbox.
PC, huh?
It's gonna
I mean,
beat the Xbox. I love it.
Hey, yeah, Atari Halo. I cannot wait.
but we already have a Atari 2600 Halo.
Yeah, we do.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually got a chance to play it at the
That with the guy.
Smithsonian when I was in DC a while back.
Everything new is old again. Isn't that how the
I met
saying
the
goes?
guy.
Oh yeah, what's his name? Yeah, he did a Halo D-Bake, Halo 2600. What's his
That's
name again?
amazing. Dude, that's amazing.
Hey.
I'm just so hip. I got the
Remake,
joke
thank you.
without knowing. I just want to get credit to myself there.
You get
The
the
Atari
credit.
box does look sweet. I mean,
know.
it actually looks pretty.
There's a danger though, because my wife is like, so now that she's going to be, I can hear it. She's going to be like, all that space that you use in the attic for all those old consoles of yours that you never threw away. If you've got the Atari box, what do you need your 2600 and all those games for now? And I'll be like, lady, you do not understand.
You don't get to say. I'm
You
just
don't
kidding.
get me at all, do you? I thought you knew me. I'm going to do all the cliche kind of upset husband comments.
Now, it's still worth having that old stuff. You want that old stuff that will still hook up to an old school CRT display.
Hell yeah.
Even if it is through that old school RF modulator, setting your TV to channel 3. You got to have that.
I've got my VIC-20 30 baud modem.
Oh my god. Wait a minute, 30 baud?
VIC-20.
That can't be right. 300 baud sounds
Oh, maybe it's 300. It was
Yeah.
30 and something else. And crayons. It's got crayons all over it. That's a true story. What was it? Are you looking it up, Vince? I know you.
Oh, what is it?
I'm going to look
Oh,
it up.
I'm
VIC-20.
pretty sure it's a 300 baud.
All right.
Oh, my 2600
Oh yeah,
games.
it was 300 baud.
Ah, good. I'm glad you looked it up. Okay, I stand corrected, but still, I've got it. And that's how I'm connecting to the show right now.
Yes.
I like
can
how
play
the video
Defender.
just got grainy right at that point.
Hey, guys, so I want to talk to you about Kickstarter video games.
Oh man,
remember this.
now that's polarizing.
I remember this.
Yeah.
So, I've signed up for a few, and they've all paid off except one. And it's had a really tumultuous life, this particular video game. and it's called Unsung Story. Did you guys get in on the Unsung Story Kickstarter?
No, but I
Um,
did hear about it.
The designer did Tactics, did Final Fantasy Tactics, I think. And so this was kind of going to be very similar. And then the company that was handling it was actually a board game company called Playdeck. They also do video games because they've done some iPad games, and they did a couple of cool ones like Flux, the card game. I think they did on iPad, which is super fun. iPhone, iPad.
Oh, they had
But
that Japanese composer.
it 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 went crazy, and now a new company has taken it over, and I feel so bad for them because they have to kind of they've been really amazing at handling the anger and the vitriol that's coming from the community that gave money. And what I gave probably like I don't even I'd have to look it up, but I think I gave $20 or something where you get a copy of the game. Might have been more than that. It wasn't a major Kickstarter for me, so I don't feel like I'm out. But there's some people who gave thousands of dollars because they just love the designer. And it's really kind of odd, isn't it, that we're using Kickstarter to fund video games, and that in some ways, and there's other Kickstarters that have done this, they can just not deliver, and you could be in lawsuits for quite some time about getting your money. Now, where do you guys think Kickstarter is valuable when it comes to making video games? There are some video games, this is the only one I'm associated with, that failed. There are other video games that failed, that got the money and didn't happen. And is it a obviously it's a viable way to get money for your video game. I don't even know if it'll last. I've also gotten involved in other video games that needed to have second or third Kickstarter fundings just to keep going. You know, what is the issue with Kickstarter games? Do you guys find it concerning to invest in a game 2 years before you're going to get it, knowing that it could fail?
ugh,
I guess I don't know exactly what question I'm trying to. Here's
it's
the problem. I'm trying to ask a
it's
specific question without saying it in a way that sounds negative.
man, it's super
Um,
concerning.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I well, let's see.
And
I
what's the
think
chat? What do the chatties think too?
Kickstarter just sometimes I think one of the biggest issues with Kickstarter is that it makes things so incredibly simple, and people come to conclusions from how the Kickstarter is laid out, how it's presented, about how game development will work. People sort of assume, hey, what are you doing when you've got Kickstarter? You're kickstarting a game. The result is a game. Therefore, everything that we do, my donation, my Kickstarter money plus everyone else's Kickstarter money equals game. And that could be further from the truth. I mean, over the last few years, we've come to realize that, in fact, no, there's all sorts of reasons why that's not the case. It could be things like, oh, this Kickstarter is actually more like a sort of combo of a PR push plus a proving to an external publisher who is also going to be funding the game that, oh, this game actually makes sense. And okay, you did your $500,000 that clears the Kickstarter threshold, but really there's actually another 5 million that's coming from another developer, from another publisher. Or it could be things like, oh, we think a game can be made with 100,000. Let's make a game with 100,000. And this is actually a great team. They're a well-meaning team, and they don't realize that 100,000 just doesn't actually go that far for what they were proposing. Even though it
Yeah.
sounded really pretty, it sounded on the Kickstarter page in the Kickstarter video like, oh, of course that would work. It sounds so clear. It looks so great. This plan of attack. Um, Kickstarter can be really, really tough that way. And I actually have some. I always have to read and read and read and reread and talk to developers and talk to friends of developers. The more I'm connected to it, the more I get a sense of where this Kickstarter is within the larger thing, which is the development of this game. It's yeah, Kickstarter is a little frustrating and a little scary to me, and it's been that way for a few years. I think it's going to remain that way for a few years, at least for me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Is there anything else you kickstart? Sorry, Chase, just cut you off.
Yeah, I got cut off, but I'm back. If you want to repeat the question briefly, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I broached the subject of kickstarting video games and how I'm part of one that failed, and a couple of years after it had failed, another company took up the cause, and they're trying to do the game, and but without the benefit of Kickstarter and the money. That's what really starts this conversation. The new company didn't get the money from the old company, so people are like, "Where'd my money
Oh
go?"
man.
But the new company is saying that once we build it, the people who invested are still going to get their rewards. It's amazing. And then Vince was saying basically that yeah, kickstarting is it's this teeter totter of emotions. Like, should I? Shouldn't I? I have questions. Do they have answers for those questions? Do they realize how hard it is to make a video game and they're only asking for a little bit of money? All these things that go back and forth. Where do you stand on it?
It's kind of tough for me because I've been in two Kickstarter situations where I was actually part of the project, and so I can know. And then I've only kickstarted, I think, one thing that was Karen Collins' production for Beep the documentary, and that came through, and I actually got my reward and went to the premiere last year around Game SoundCon. The first Kickstarter I was a part of, where I was one of the composers of the project, they wanted to ask for the budget that they should have asked for, but they decided to do an episodic like Telltale, and so it got sketchy. And I actually got contacted by one of the top game reviewer websites saying, "Hey, are you one of the composers? Because we don't really know about this team." So they were actually doing the research about them because they asked for an exorbitant amount of money, and then they canceled it and realized no one's going to give us that money. So they asked for like a way less amount, like $1,200, and then they got funded. Now, fast forwarding, I'm not part of that project anymore. That game still has not come out in its full entirety. Like, I don't even know where it is. I don't really care.
Oh,
I
man.
feel sorry for the backers. I hope they got what their rewards were for at least backing $1,200. But that was one experience. And then on the other side of it, there was a company that I was doing music and sound for, their first Kickstarter failed. And I was not a part of that project. But the second one that they were a part of, that I was a part of, it succeeded, and they got the amount of funding that they wanted and that they needed to finish the game. And regardless of, I think the best thing to do that I've seen tying into what my continuous input would be is keeping the community updated. Because a lot of people get the money and then they just disappear, but they have no like dev blogs, and they're not pretty honest with the community, just kind of disappear. And that leaves people wondering, hey, where is my investment? And I could see why it's like semi-sketchy if you're not going to deliver on time. And the only thing with this last project that I was a part of with the Kickstarter was that it was just a month behind, and maybe 2 months behind with shipping physical copies. But everything else, for just a husband and wife team, they delivered on all fronts. And I was very proud to be a part of that project in that regard. And I wish that more game developers would stick to their word, and especially when other people's investments are involved in this, and they wanted other people's help. And it's like, when you ask for that help, you should stick to your word and be honest. And if you can't, at least return the money. Like, that's what I think about. Is it's like, just be fair and return the money back. And Igoroshi Iga, like, who's doing Bloodstain, who used to work at Konami and did the Castlevania Symphony of the Night series, he's really good about doing updates about that, as opposed to, unfortunately, Inafune Keiji, who was a part of the Mega Man, and they did the Mighty Number 9, and you see how those kind of, like, the checks and balances don't really go very well. But Iga has always been very upfront and forward about saying, like, hey, we haven't been like maybe 2 months, but here's a big update. Here's what's going on. We're here every year at E3. We're coming out on Switch. They're like constantly updating the community, letting them know, hey, we're still about this. And I think that's really what it's about. It's just staying honest with the community. And if you can't deliver, give their money back.
Updates are great, but updates in and of themselves, they're still just updates. They're still words, and for
Sure.
the typical consumer, they really have no choice other than to take those words at face value.
True.
And
But it's better than
sometimes those
disappearing.
words actually, that's, well, is it? Because it's possible to just be, hey, I'm going to keep on putting up this public front. It's, there are people that do lie through their teeth. There's some
Yeah.
people who are really good at it. And not to say that Inafune and the Bloodstained team are. I mean, they seem to be doing a great job because it's not just a matter of updates. They've also said, "Hey, check out the demo, which you can download right now." I think they did that during E3, and you could see very clearly, "Whoa, this is actually a game in progress. I can play this game." That's very cool. The proof in the pudding is
Yeah.
in the Eden, as they say.
Mm.
So, updates are great, but still, getting to the truth of it is really, really important. And
Somebody
I'm
mentioned
at,
in chat about doing a let me get to the chat. Where is it? I can't find it. About doing a vertical slice. I did that. I invested in a company that was just doing a vertical slice. They delivered it, and we had like alpha access. They did a really good job, and then they funded a second time to release the whole game. I got funding again, but that time something fell apart, and I'm not sure what happened there, but they're still pushing that game forward, and they're being very transparent about what's going on. I only don't know what's going on because I don't read that well when it comes to those things. I get all those emails from all the Kickstarters, and I just kind of file them into a folder of the Kickstarter name. That's my own fault. As a matter of fact, I will occasionally go back to Kickstarters and say, "Hey, I didn't get that thing," and it might be like 3 years later, and then I contact them. I go, "Where's the thing?" And I just did that this past week, and the guy said, "Well, you're pretty late." And I was
Wow.
like, "Yeah." I was thinking to myself, I didn't write him back, but I was thinking to myself, "Yeah, I'm late, but you didn't deliver my thing." Oh,
Right.
we lost Vince. And he wrote to say, he added into his comments, he said, "Here's how I did this, and I think you missed the emails." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I even wrote, I said, "This is totally on me. I just skim those emails and wait for something to arrive in the mail. I don't really read them." And he was sending emails saying, "Hey, I'm ready to deliver, but you need to send me $6. It was for a book. You need to send me $6 for a book." And I didn't even read it. I just threw it in a folder. And I'd go, "Where's my book?" I'm such an idiot.
So that's another thing. Stay up on your emails, folks.
But to be honest, Kickstarter emails, for Christ's sake. I mean, we're talking about updates and being transparent and how good that is. I like a Kickstarter that says, "Give me money. I give you money. You give me a date it's going to be delivered. You deliver it on that date, and you don't ask for anything more. You don't ask for shipping. You don't delay the date. That's what I want. I want that." And I mean, that's the original design. That's why they have dates when you're supposed to receive this thing. But there's all kinds of complications, like, oh, the ship, and I put your shipment on the Titanic. It hit an iceberg. I'll get back to you.
There's a podcast I used to listen to, and there was a really intelligent man he didn't believe in Kickstarters, and he would voice his opinion about it. And the reason he didn't, he's like, because they have no accountability. And he believed in a system that, whereas if people bought into like equity of the company, then they would have something more at risk, so that instead of just like giving someone money and hoping for a return on something else. But he was like, "I don't believe in that, and I think there needs to be more accountability on the developer side. So in case, like you said, Vince, like people are just speaking out the side of their neck, they're held accountable for it when they don't deliver." And ironically enough, I think there's a company I met a lovely woman named Heather who works at Equity Arcade, and they're designed to help game developers get their projects funded, but also have that type of ecosystem for and funding campaign that the journalist was speaking about. And so I think they've been around now for about 1.5 years to close to 2 years. So now I think if game developers, Kickstarter, we have Kickstarter, Indiegogo, GoFundMe, however, but now Equity Arcade is specifically, I guess, designed around game developers getting their project funding through that type of system if they were interested. I'm not sure how successful it's been, but I do know that they've been doing fairly well.
You mentioned Indiegogo. There's one I'll never give money to, because they take the money right then, and if it fails, you're just out. And it's all part of Indiegogo is a surprise to me that it's been a success. Kickstarter kind of makes sense because they're saying, invest in this thing, and we're not going to take your money unless we hit our target. But I've noticed that the target number, and you guys had already mentioned this, just keeps going lower and lower and lower, making it easier for them to hit. Now That's kind of
Video
crappy in
game,
my opinion.
$5,000. We'll have this
Yeah.
awesome 20-hour role-playing game that's a love letter to those Jerpage from the 1995.
Oh my God. Oh, you've hit on another one. Can I complain? I mean, I
Please.
never complain. You don't mind if I complain, do you?
The
The
box
term
is open.
spiritual successor is about to get me to strangulize some people.
Spiritual successor.
Watch out.
Oh my God.
But I love alliteration.
Spiritual successor to me means we've got a shit game, but we want you to buy it because you think it's going to be like a game that you love. That's what it means to me. We don't have the licensing. We don't have the rights to make a game like this. A couple of us once played it twice together online, and I'm exaggerating there because there's one particular spiritual successor.
But hold on, you were just talking about Unsung Story.
I know. I went in. See now, but look how it paid off for me. So okay, so back to what I was saying.
All right.
Spiritual successor drives me crazy. It's one of the worst marketing terms. I'm being hyperbolic, but it literally is saying we don't have the rights to make a game, but we want credit as if we're making a sequel for that game. That's what the term means, and it drives me nuts. And then I've gotten a couple of spiritual successors, and I've been burnt on both of them. And to tell you the truth, one of them is a great game in its own right, but it's the classic situation where you go to a movie, you watch the trailers, you know, you're excited to see this movie, and you get in there and you go, that movie really kind of stunk. The best stuff was in the trailer. It's the same kind of thing. Here's what we're going to make. We're going to make this amazing thing that's like this thing that you love, and then you play the game and go, yeah, that wasn't really that good. It was, but one of them was good on its own right. They kind of hurt themselves by calling it a spiritual successor. That term just bugs me. I'm a spiritual successor to David Bowie, if anybody would like to know. You know, so hire me.
I can see it. I see it in the hair there.
Can't you tell? I mean, that's about the same thing. You can clearly see that is not true. Anyway, so there's my momentary, my Game Audio 153 rant. I've got one each show, just tune back. Even the ones I wasn't on, I'm ranting in the background. The hell, spiritual successor. Oh, but anyway, so I wanted to mention on a positive note, because I like to you know, I can't just be negative. Brian Fargo, anything that guy does on Kickstarter is a success. Well done, him.
Is it spiritual though?
The Wasteland, he's very spiritual, and he's a successor to his father and mother. But he put out Wasteland, did a great job. The Shadowrun game was fantastic. There's a lot of really good video games that come out on Kickstarter if it's done right, but it seems to be done right by studios that already have an idea of how to make, you know, like if that game company said, we're going to do a Kickstarter, I'd be on 100% because they already make games. They already know how to make games. They're doing a great job making games. The ones I worry about are spiritual successors and people I've never heard of who are saying, oh, we're going to make this amazing game. Give us a crap ton of money. And then the third, like Vince said, is it's going to take probably $1 million to make this game, but our Kickstarter goal is $50.27. If we clear that, we're good to go. And of course, that's an exaggeration, because if they just got a low amount of money, they can't make the game. Like, where are they getting the funding from if they ask for a low amount of money? That worries me.
Yeah.
All right.
My favorite Kickstarter is, I mean, I love you, Tim Schafer. You're great. You're an awesome guy.
Yeah.
But that one debacle that happened.
Oh, what one?
The infamous one when he made history, and it was one with
story based.
The game, it was a point and click adventure game. Broken Age. Thank you. Yeah. And he did this Kickstarter was successful, and he reached the funding over $1 million of some sort, but he ran out of money, and he had to do another Kickstarter. Well, lesson learned, and he's still good, and the community still loves him.
I got my Broken Age, but then they did a second Kickstarter. What was that game?
That was besides the follow up to the Broken Age. Oh yeah, so they did quite a few.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've kicked that horse to death.
Man, hey, Bob Tilly Flop was just asking, hey, what's your favorite hardware synth?
Yeah, let's get away from this subject.
Yeah, let's.
Thank you, Bob.
Audio is cool.
Hardware synth. Woo! All of us pause.
Look at this
Oh,
thing.
man.
Is that a Triton?
No, it's not. This is I
Can't
mentioned
wait.
about my Akai Iwis.
Oh,
And one of the
yes.
things
Akai.
that I have just been going crazy about the last few years is getting all the bespoke synths that go along with these Iwis. So I've got the 3000 analog module, the 3020 analog module, and I just recently acquired this 3030, which is a Rompler for the Iwi. This is the first Rompler that they made. And it actually wasn't very good, but apparently it was very good in terms of programmability and the filter design. So it does sound actually awesome if you put in some work to it. But man, I love the sound of these Akai bespoke synths and romplers for their Iwis because they're all about things need to be dynamic, and you need to have good filter design if you want to make things sound really good when sweeping those continuous controllers, or at least in the case with the Iwi, that control voltage up and down smoothly.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
Oh,
How many of you had to buy? You were saying you're trying to get all of the different.
well, I mean, there's this one. There's this. I'm only missing one right now, which is the older EWV 2000,
Wow.
which is pretty good. I haven't been really thinking about it too much because I've got the 3000, which is basically that same analog synth on steroids.
Yeah.
So I basically have all of that, and I also have the Yamaha VL70M because the Akai does a great job at driving that thing. I love physical modeling. I love that sound.
Rad. You know, I was thinking about that question, and I can't tell what I think what my favorite hardware, or yeah, my favorite hardware synth is different than the one I use the most, because I don't own my favorite one. But then again, if I owned it, it might not be my favorite one. But the one I use the most is my Moog Voyager, and I love that thing. But what's the one they used? Oh, I know the chat room's going to know this. What's the synth that was used for the Blade Runner soundtrack? It had all that crazy portamento
ARP stuff.
Well, wouldn't that be an ARP? Yeah.
It was a CS1 or something, like a Yamaha CS1.
A Yamaha CS1 or
Really?
the
Yeah,
ANX?
Vangelis used the hell out of it. I love that. If I could get one, though. I messed with one at NAMM one year and just, I was gone. You guys were with me, I think. Yeah, it was in the, it's a Yamaha because it was in the Yamaha room. They have that space. Yeah, CS80, Bob says. That's what it was.
Okay.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's my favorite if I could get one. Anybody selling
the
one? Who
Yamaha
wants one?
CS80. Yeah, get the Yamaha
Built like a tank.
CS80. There's the Pro Mars, the Jupiter 4.
Bob said,
And
I want the
built like a
JP8000.
tank, expensive as heck. That is so true, man. Oh my God.
I want the QS6. I want the Proteus 2000. I want the
QS6? That's Elisa's, isn't
SY85.
it,
I don't care. I want it.
no.
I want it. I want the
Oh,
D70.
it's a super popular scent, the QS.
I'm actually kind of. I mean, those Romplers were really cool. I mean, I had a friend with an Elisa's QSR. I personally would say you don't need a Proteus 2000. The Proteus
Okay.
2000 is basically, it's robust in terms of programmability, but honestly, the sounds don't have the charm of the original Proteus 1 and 2. And honestly, it's, if you really want Proteus 2000 stuff, there's a company, I think that's called Digital Sound Factory, that makes a compact version of all the Proteus 2000 era stuff. And that works. It's really cheap. You can sometimes get it on sale for under $100. But the actual synth, yeah, it's not that great. I would say that the old Proteus 1, 2, and 3 are much more worthwhile than the Proteus 2000 era synths.
You know, Mr. Mike Shapiro gave me a Proteus 2 he used to have.
Yeah, I mean, the Proteus 2 was a workhorse, real workhouse for composers back in 1990.
And Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but he bought it off of one of the guys from Air Supply.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty
I guess
funny.
pretty
That's
cool.
cool.
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah, Adriano had mentioned that Arturia has the CS80. They have a suite of keyboards they've done in software, and they've done some of my best emulations of my favorites. That's for sure. Arturia is really doing a great job, and the Matrix synth of theirs I really want to get. They're doing a good job. Good job, Arturia. I like the way. Hey, there's another question. I know that we're wrapping up, but have you guys noticed that a lot of software companies are putting out tables? By
Tables?
a lot, I mean two, but still, it's a lot to me. Um, Output has released a table, like a table you can put your stuff in, and in addition to that,
Yeah. Wait a
Slate
minute.
has also released
Oh,
a
Slate,
table.
right? Yeah, I am familiar with the output desk,
Yeah,
and
no,
it's
yeah, tabletops, Bob. Totally. They're like, here's our software, and here's the place where you can sit and put stuff on. It just seems a
Mhm.
really weird connection for me. When Output did it, I thought, well, that's weird, right? But then Slate soon after, or at least soon after to my vision, announced their desk. Now their desk is made to fit their Ravens, so I kind of, and they've made desks in the past, so it kind of makes sense for them. But I thought it can't be any mistake that these companies are putting out desks. Like what happened in the spying that companies do on each other, that two companies said, ooh, we better start making desks. And I truly believe they're spying among companies. I think I'd be foolish to think there isn't. Because like for instance, if you go to the movie theater to watch some movie that's like, oh my God, they're doing a movie about Mars and landing on Mars. The first movie gets announced, and in succession, there's like three more movies from different companies that are all landing on Mars. It's weird how often that happens in movies, that themes get carried across. And so I'm sure that, companies are paying attention to what other companies are doing. But do you think that this building a desk thing is like a coincidence? What's the meaning of it? What's the need for it?
I think people are breaking NDAs.
Yeah, yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. Over drinks. What are you guys working on? A desk? We're working on a new compressor. But hey, listen, think about that. I mean, that's kind of fun to go down that rabbit hole because how many new, if you're a VST company, you're a plug-in company, you're thinking, oh, let's make another compressor. Let's go with a Pi compressor. There's very few of those, and we'll do that software because we've done the Pultex, or that's EQ, but we've done the 1176s, and we've done the 160s, and we've done the 3-band compressors. Let's make a table.
it is really weird because with output, it would make a little bit more sense if output was also a hardware company. But you've got your desk. What not desk? What do they call it? They call it platform. The
Yeah.
output platform.
All
And
right.
you could put a couple units there, a couple units there. You could put a keyboard there. You could put a little mixer there. Got a little control surface there. And I would understand it if output was actually in any of those other spaces when it comes to selling product, but they're
Yeah.
not. They're
They're not.
totally in the box. Um, so I actually am with you there. I am not sure exactly what was the amazing leap in business thought process that made them say, okay, we are going to make a desk. I would love to know. I have no clue how successful or unsuccessful the desk is. Maybe it's absolutely amazing in terms of a return for them, and I just don't know.
I don't know. And is it
There's
a
a
sign
video
of
on the
desperation?
website.
Because there are people who are watching businesses who are saying, okay, if they do that move, it means they're losing money. If they do that move, it means they're expecting a layoff. There's people who watch companies to figure out what they're doing and why. I wonder what it means for output. I don't want anything bad to happen to output because
There's a
output, I absolutely love you. Where's the camera? I gotta look in the camera. I absolutely love you. It's one of the best softwares. I love what they're doing.
Well,
And I
output's
was so
great.
excited for their next announcement, and it was a desk. And I'm like, well, I guess I don't need that. I guess they've saved me some money because I own every single thing that they have put out. There's not a thing they have except for this desk that I don't own.
Did
I
you
love
watch the
output.
video? It has
What?
a. Did you watch the video on their website? It says, "Why did we build a desk?" and has a big play button. I'm tempted to play it, but I didn't want to.
I didn't see that video because I think they just put it up because they watched this show.
Answers live only on Game Audio Hour. They're listening.
Exclusive Game Audio.
Oop.
Oh my God. Anyway, Output. Let us come over there and check out the desk because I think we would all go down there and say, "What's going on? What I mean, people create amazing things, and and if you've got a footprint to sell it, then sell it. Maybe they've come up with some really cool or ergonomic and good workflow kind of desk that's going to be useful.
They are in downtown LA.
Right?
Time for a field trip.
They make
Field trip.
Field trip.
Game Audio field trip. We ask the questions, we get you the answers.
We're coming with a camera.
Scoop.
Anyway, I mean, I love them so much that I tell you this as a fact, and then I guess we should go. You can tour their studio, and I've done it. They've taken like 360 pictures, and you can click like in Google Streets and just go around their whole place, and that's how much I love them. I've walked their halls virtually.
That's pretty awesome. Actually, I'm thinking I'm gonna start that next year. The field trips.
I'm down. Hey guys, anything in the chat room we should cover? I don't want to leave anybody hanging. I'm on one screen, so I have to.
There was one question that Bob T. Flop asked, and it goes back to the Kickstarter. So I don't know if you want to open up this can now or if you want to save it for the next show. He said, "Do you think a Kickstarter for a VST synth would work?"
A what?
A Kickstarter for a VST synth.
Oh my God, dude!
What would it be? What would the pitch be for that?
That's a whole. But VSTs are in this weird place where they're selling them dirt cheap right now. Everybody is undercutting everybody else's prices. They're doing subscription basis. So if you came in as a VST maker and kickstarted it, you would I'm guessing, if I think off the top of my head, you need the money to develop it. You've got an idea, but you want to develop it. So that's a good way to get that done. But then you're going into a market where you can't sell it very expensively because everybody's selling them super cheap. I mean, even Mac DSP, who has traditionally never put anything on sale, not only has gone crazy with sales now, but also has a subscription base, which seems to be completely against their business model. I don't know if it would do well now. I think it would have been a good idea a year ago, but now I wonder.
It's got to be something ridiculously amazing, or I don't know. Maybe someone might figure, oh, we've got a concept for something, some VST synth that the people who are in the know, who are semi-pro, professional music composers, sound designers, okay, whatever. But maybe they find something that they know the Kickstarter crowd, which is a little bit more naive, would be interested in, would be excited in. And this maybe connects a little bit to what Kyle was talking about with a spiritual successor. There's some little bit of nostalgia that is untapped, that is just enough to actually connect with a slightly naive audience on Kickstarter, but would fall flat for the ears that people are like, oh, you're doing this? Yeah, I've heard this before, or I can do this through some other means, some other tool that I'm already familiar with. But I have no idea what that might be.
Yeah, well, you've mentioned something I want from plugins anyway, is something new. We've got so many choices when it comes to any of the fundamentals like EQ and compression, gates, whatever. We've got reverbs. I mean, we need new stuff when it comes to plugins. I really don't like plugins, but I have to use them because if I want to put, if I want to use a Moog Pre-Q4 on 30 channels, I have to have the plugin or $1 million, and I guess the plugin's coming first. So I see the need for them, but it drives me crazy to use them. I really try to avoid it. I really try to run stuff hardware.
You too, Kyle, can have publishing clearinghouse checks to get those things.
Bring one of those to the barbecue, will you? Will you put up
I'll put your name in the hat, but I can't bring the check.
You can bring a check. I just can't cash it. That's all.
Oh, I can't either.
I want to throw an idea out. I just thought of something. A VST instrument that is specifically an emulation of the tape violin.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, you know the whole thing with, you put tape on a bow and you like put it up against a tape head and you play like that.
Yes.
And then you set it up to either play with continuous controllers or maybe something like the Leap controller, which is getting a little popular with some music composers nowadays. Um, oh, I wonder, is there anyone that's done it?
I bet you they have.
BSD tape violin.
I'm gonna put money on it.
Take a search. I'm going to my calendar.
I don't think
quickly,
so.
'cause I want to...
I don't think anyone has ever done it.
Nope.
I'm gonna put it out there because I would actually play that. If someone develops it, I would play it. I would mess with that thing.
Heck yeah.
I'm also a really big Laurie Anderson fan. So
Oh my God, yes. Ooh, that's my dinner music. I'm gonna put on a Laurie Anderson album.
I'm gonna do that. Actually, I'm thinking the same thing. It's been a few years since I've watched Home of the Brave. So I'm gonna.
Nicely done.
I
Did you
mean,
know
I'm
she
just.
was married to Lou Reed.
Wait a minute. What?
I know. I didn't know that until when he died. That's when I discovered that they were married. She's his widow.
Wow.
So, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, random thing. I found out that one of my teachers was actually one of the producers for Laurie Anderson's Home of the Brave, and I had no clue the entire time that I was a student there.
Oh man, that sucks to find out later.
Yeah.
Well, I think we probably better wrap up, as cool as that is, and I have another topic for next week. And Chase, put this in the list.
Got it.
What do you think about, now we've kind of covered this, but what do you think about companies that charge people money, studios that charge people money to run their audio through some equipment that they can't afford, but that the studio owns? You know, you can go online to places, even you can go online to Abbey Road and send them your audio files. They'll process them through something and send them back to you for a fee.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about in the past, but I have an idea that I think next week would be fun to talk about.
Right. I want to talk about that. I'm already getting some thoughts and opinions I want to throw out there, but I'll save it for next week.
And then last thing I want to say is the Game Audio Hour barbecue is open to anybody who wants to come. Bring a +1. You know, keep it to people you know or people who are in the industry. Like, don't invite you know. I guess I don't need to say anything more. But you know, it doesn't have to be tied to just game people or game audio people. You know, it can be a friend that you want to bring along. Please do. The date is October 15th. Direct message me on Twitter, or if you have my email, hit me up at my email account and let me know you're coming. And that way I can just plan some food. It's, you know, I fully expect to see more people than I get RSVPs, but I just want to have an idea. And what did I say the date was? The 15th? Yeah, it's the 15th. It starts
15th.
at 1 p.m.
Sunday.
Sunday. 1 p.m. and then I'm kicking everybody out at 11 p.m. because I got to get a daughter to school
curfew
in the morning. And then anybody who contacts me, I will then give you my address for coming to the barbecue, so you can make your way here via Google Maps or, I don't know,
Waze.
Lycos.
Oh yeah, MapQuest. MapQuest is totally the future.
MapQuest, that's what I was trying to think of. I couldn't do it.
MapQuest.
Yeah,
You know
MapQuest,
what?
you'll
Sadly
end
to
up
say
in
that
another country.
MapQuest is solid.
Do what?
Sadly to say that MapQuest is solid.
Oh my God, Vince, you're killing me. Reverb Room. Vince, you're killing me. You're creeping into my subject matter. This is what I want to talk about.
All right.
Thank you.
It's in the chat. It's not in the video yet. We'll talk about it later.
I can't wait till next week. Oh, what do you got? What do you got, Chase?
Oh, sorry. Before I go, this is what I will be playing. I just picked this up today because I couldn't find an SNES Classic, so I'll be playing the opposite.
with the superior FM synth of the Sega Genesis.
Yes, my favorite.
Will you come on over? I'll get my Sega Genesis out of the attic. We'll jam it out.
Yes, I will be there now.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not going through that thing. It's like a hot oven up there. I'm not getting up there.
God, why is this at the end of the show? I really want to talk about the slightly different, subtle differences in sound between all the models of Sega Genesis.
That's for next time.
Topic
Next
2
time.
for next week. Topic 2.
All right.
All right, guys. Good seeing you. Follow us
All
on.
right.
Okay, I'm going to try to do it right. Follow us on Twitter. Like us
Hmm.
on Facebook.
Hmm.
And heart us on Instagram. I don't think we have an Instagram account, though. And we love you all. Thank you for watching the show and supporting us. And bye.